Hey Matryoshkas, I think I got used to my camera enough to cover something more substantial now. So I've been wondering recently. Usually everyone has a pretty good understanding of what's being watched and what's being popular in their own country. But it's always intriguing to know what's being popular from your home country among the foreign audiences. Sometimes these two kinds of fame differ to a great extent. For instance, we've had this singer whose only song was pretty popular in Russia, but he hadn't really taken off until he traveled to China and gained a huge amount of popularity over there. As far as I know, he still is pretty famous over there, but a few people could recall his existence over here in Russia. His name is Vitas, by the way, just in case you're interested to find out about his story some more. So I thought maybe it might be interesting for you to know what's being popular here in Russia. Well, let me elaborate on that a bit. First of all, there's television, which is infested by politically biased talk shows, mostly one-sided news reports, and different social scandalous talk shows like family affairs, cheating, DNA tests, etc., etc. Something along the lines of Jerry Springer show or Dr. Phil, I think. So many people still stick to that. But it is obviously a quite limited source of information and entertainment. And with technological literacy of younger generations, it is no wonder that television is losing millions of viewers each year. Big TV companies try to overcome that and build a connection with younger audiences by infiltrating the internet, particularly social media and YouTube, though it feels forced and odd for the most part. In terms of video content, younger generations chiefly focus on YouTube. And despite the fact that we're living in the era of globalization, there are still obstacles present that hinder the multicultural interaction. One of the prominent of them being the language barrier. The language barrier still forces technologically advanced youth to revolve around the native speaking communities. So the lack of foreign language possession limits the access to international communication. So basically it's Russian YouTubers, bloggers, journalists, TV hosts, etc., etc. Really hot and popular content gets discovered too. It is dubbed and captioned to Russian, so it gets its own chance to be understood and spread across the Russian-speaking audience. For example, Joe Rogan's podcast episode with Elon Musk trying out a blunt got cut, dubbed to Russian and uploaded to YouTube short after the original upload. It got almost a meme-like popularity here in Russia. Now, the minority of people who actually know English language have the ability to satisfy their needs more freely. And of course, I can't represent all the people in that category because their interests are too specific and diverse. But still, I could give you an overall impression of such a person, being a lame English speaker myself. I'm like an average car with two broken tires going So what do I watch on YouTube? First of all, people who are more or less related to television in a traditional sense, but got discovered thanks to their executives deciding that their shows need to be uploaded to YouTube. Mostly it's TV hosts such as Conan O'Brien, Craig Ferguson, or Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, and Bill Maher, just to name a few, where I perceive Conan O'Brien as the most benevolent and harmless kind of host out of all, and Bill Maher being the most politically inclined out of all, I guess. I find Craig Ferguson's talk show quite interesting in its own way because he is able to drive his guests out of the comfort zone, but at times he is too sexually aggressive in a humorous way, but still on the verge, like being flirtatiously too pushy. Anyways, that's what's so compelling about these TV night shows. It's that you're able to see famous people and movie stars in a more informal and free environment. And TV hosts usually do all the dirty job to maintain that easygoing kind of atmosphere. Now, speaking of YouTube, I personally like to watch Joe Rogan's podcast series because he's able to sustain a reasonable conversation with a diverse number of guests from different fields, but the level of interest nails down to the particular guest being interviewed. Besides that, I like to watch Your Movie Sucks YouTube reviews to get a dense overall impression on decent movies, or to reevaluate my personal experience of a particular motion picture that I've already watched before. I absolutely love edutainment type of videos, something like Crash Course or Course Gesagt, which offer a great amount of information on a particular subject in a pretty dense and succinct form. These are just indispensable tools when you've got a shitty curriculum or a douchebag professor whose only purpose is to waste your lifetime. Finally, there's a group of people who could be considered still related to television, but nevertheless are still as popular on the internet. And these are stand-up comedians. Louis C.K., Bill Burr, Russell Peters, Jimmy Carr, Ricky Gervais, just to name a few. Well, here's a bit of my perspective. What about you? Could you name any Russia-related show or personality? Please provide some examples down in the comment section below. I'm really interested in that. Please remember that hitting thumbs up and sharing video, as well as all other positive feedback that you leave on my channel, helps YouTube algorithms discover my videos and expose them more. I really appreciate if you do all or any of that. Well, I hope you found this video interesting. Thank you for your time and see you in my next episode. Bye!